Bunyala tumeendelea sana. Kwanza hasa tu tangu tupate huu ujuzi from Kenagro, tuko mbele.
So things are changing, and for that matter, the uptake of rice is high.
We have been working with Kenagro in terms of crop protection. So we know there is a herbicide that's supposed to use, there is a fungicide, and there is an insecticide.
We normally use pyrethrum herbicide, which is a selective herbicide that controls both grasses, broad-leaved weeds, and grass-like weeds.
Wale wako Bunyala, mtembelee duka ya mkulima agrovet, mtapata products za Kenagro. Kenagro wako na products nyingi na mnakaribishwa sana.
Hello viewers, welcome to Kilimo na Kenagro. My name is Jasmine Masi and we are here in Budalang'i constituency, Bunyala Irrigation Scheme in Busia County. We want to learn what it takes to grow rice and also what are the factors to put into consideration. Rice is Kenya's third staple food after maize and wheat. Bunyala Irrigation Scheme, sitting between Busia and Siaya counties, was started in the 1960s with a coverage of 534 acres under paddy rice production. As of 2023, the scheme's acreage now stands at 4,000 acres as expansion is still ongoing under the Nursery Irrigation Development Project. This will see the scheme grow bigger to cover an extra 20,000 acres under Phase 1 and 2. The National Irrigation Authority managed scheme currently offers a source of livelihood to over 3,000 farming households within Budalang'i and Alego Usonga constituencies.
Oh, mambo.
Hi.
Poa.
Ukaje?
Poa sana.
What's your name?
My name is Maureen Weka. Mkulima wa mpunga Bunyala.
Maureen is ecstatic to harvest in her 4 acres rice farm, an inheritance from her late father located in Feeder 2, which has a total of 44 acres under irrigation of rice. Growing rice for more than 2 decades, her journey was initially challenging but has now become rewarding and fulfilling, especially after partnering with Kenagro.
Na mimi naitwa Masi na tumefurahia sana kukuja hapa ili kujifunza mengi kuhusiana na kilimo cha mchele. Lakini unaita mpunga.
Mpunga, karibu sana. Mchele ni ile yenye ishapikwa, iko tayari kupikwa. Yenye imepikwa ni wali, lakini yenye bado ni mpunga.
Mpunga. So ulianza kulima lini?
Nilianza mwaka wa 2000.
2000. It has been 23 years.
The source of water at Bunyala Irrigation Scheme is from River Nzoia. The 257 kilometers long river source is the Mount Elgon and Mouth Lake Victoria, enhancing basin irrigation practiced here. The rice varieties grown in Bunyala are Komboka, an aromatic variety, and IR 2793, which is a non-aromatic variety. The rice season goes for 4 months, where transplanting from nursery is usually done between 14 and 21 days. While transplanting, Maureen trims the seedlings so the tillers can develop well for higher yields using the spacing of 15 by 25 centimeters. 7 days after transplanting, she applies Pirata herbicide to clear grown weeds. A week after, she applies water to the farm, later doing an insecticide and fungicide application. The type of soil, being black cotton, helps in water retention, key in rice growing. Water is pumped from Nzoia, flowing by gravity through an open earth channel or canal to the farms.
tangu tuelemishwe na alafu na tukaletewa hiyo ujuzi na hizo dawa za Kenagro. Saa hizi unaona sasa hivi vile nishachapa. Ninatarajia magunia mengi kwa wakati mfupi, of which sitaona stress sana na school fees tuseme hivyo.
So kwako weed management inasaidia kuongeza yields.
Yes.
Na hizo yields pia zinakuendeleza katika maisha yako na mahitaji yako.
Inanipea pesa mingi mfukoni na kazi ni rahisi.
Pirata herbicide saves Maureen the money and time spent while hiring casual laborers for manual weeding. It also protects her from frequent visits to the farm, which could expose her bare feet to worms, especially leech. Her yields have drastically increased, courtesy of the National Irrigation Authority in partnership with Kenagro.
So, other than rice farming, kuna kazi nyingine ambayo unafanya?
Kuna kazi nyingine wakati nishamaliza kuvuna, huwa ninachukua huu mchele wangu na add value na kusiaga pale kwa rice mill na ninakaa nayo pale kwa veranda ninauza kama cereal.
That is interesting. So, unahisi kuwa nyinyi kama Bunyala Irrigation Scheme mmeweza kujiendeleza sana na kufikia irrigation schemes zingine ama bado hamjafikia tuseme kama Mwea Irrigation Scheme?
Tunafata Mwea sahi. Bunyala tumeendelea sana. Kwanza hasa tu tangu tupate huu ujuzi from Kenagro. Tuko mbele.
Thank you so much for your time na kutupa information nyingi sana ya kutueleza kuhusu kilimo chako.
Asante, karibu sana.
Okay.
The national rice consumption in Kenya currently stands at an estimated 949,000 metric tons compared to an annual production of 180 per the International Rice Research Institute. This clearly shows we have a huge deficit. And to help us understand more on rice production and consumption dynamics in Kenya is the chairperson of the Irrigation Water Users Association in Bunyala.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm William Jina.
About 80% of rice farming in Kenya is from irrigation schemes established by the government.
And 80% of that that production is actually equivalent to 160,000 metric tons annually. And Bunyala contributes 25% of that 160,000 metric tons. And Mwea produces 80%. Mwea Irrigation Scheme it produces 80% of that. So what it means is that Bunyala has a significant contribution to the national rice production and productivity in this country. The uptake of this country's rice, most of the youths have leaned their menu on rice taking. So the growth rate of rice eating is at 12% currently. So which means if we diversify, if the government invests heavily in rice production, then definitely we will be able to meet our annual rice consumption.
This will help reduce rice importation in Kenya, largely done from Asian countries like Pakistan, Vietnam, and partly India, as well as our neighboring country, Tanzania.
So if we can invest, like the government has decided to invest heavily in Bunyala for that matter, then it means we will drastically reduce, because the potential Bunyala has is 20,000 acres, and in 3 years' time we anticipate to be doing 10,000. Currently we are doing 4,000, and in 3 years we will be doing 10,000. Now that the gravity is just about to be completed.
Almost double.
Almost double that.
having a surplus rice production as a country will enable us to do rice exportation within Africa and globally.
On a lighter note,
Yes.
we know most counties of Western really consume a lot of ugali.
Right.
In comparison to rice, is it consumed in large quantities as well?
Indeed, I've said the youths are changing the eating habits within the whole area. It is not just the urbanites, but even the locals have also changing their food, their eating habits, because rice can easily be prepared.
Yeah.
It can be mixed with various available cereals
Yes.
to make a very delicious meal.
Yeah.
So things are changing, and for that matter, the uptake of rice is high. Even as we discuss now, there are a lot of people who are coming forward asking for rice. Just like we are here, I've received several calls in the morning for people who want rice. These are people from within. Yes.
From understanding rice production and consumption dynamics to now learning the most important aspect of rice production, rice farming, and crop protection products needed for high and good quality yields.
Hello.
Hi,
Good to see you.
pleasure.
Do tell us your name.
Nolan Siyumbu, an agronomist in National Irrigation Authority, Bunyala Irrigation Scheme.
For 4 years, Nolan has been working with farmers at Bunyala Irrigation Scheme as an agronomist.
It's a nice thing to be, let me say, to be in the field with farmers, hands-on. Initially, you'd sit in class, read about Bunyala Irrigation Scheme, or about public schemes in the country.
Yeah.
But right now,
You're interacting with
yes,
them
with that
one-on-one.
soil, with that crop, with the farmers, and
Yeah.
the experience is awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
So being in this National Irrigation Authority, are you a resident of Busia County or umesafiri tu kuja hapa kusaidia wakulima?
Hapa niko kazi. I'm not a resident of Busia. I come from Bungoma County.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
National Irrigation Authority is under the government of Kenya?
Yes, that is a parastatal in the government of Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
So you work hand in hand with the Ministry of Agriculture?
Yes, Ministry of Agriculture. We have the county government ministry. You know that after devolution, the agricultural sector was basically mainly put in the county government. So we will also work hand in hand with the county government.
government.
For our
Okay.
case, county government of Siaya and county government of Busia.
So, what are the major challenges that farmers are currently facing in Bunyala?
One of them is crop protection. That is one. Of course, we have crop protection and crop nutrition. But when you talk of crop protection, that basically means taking care of that crop medically, if it was a human, for it to produce. Because even humanly speaking, anytime you're unwell, you're sick, you're very unproductive. So it's the same case with rice. Once it is unwell, you don't expect a high yield. You don't expect a bumper harvest. Let me call it that way.
NIA has partnered with Kenagro, as Nolan explains.
We have been working with Kenagro in terms of crop protection. So we know there is a herbicide they're supposed to use, there is a fungicide, and there's an insecticide. And you know, for a farmer, most of the farmers learn by seeing. They cannot just, you come, sit down with them, talk, and then you tell them, go and use this. No. So we as agronomists, we as NIA, we have our own research fields where we work with other stakeholders to come in with new products, or even if it's not a new product, a product that we think can help a farmer. So that is how we, as agronomists, we go ahead, use our research fields. We've used a herbicide from Kenagro that is called Pirata, and after several applications, of course, we have to do it before telling farmers you can now come and use it. So we use it as a training tool for farmers. They'll come and learn from our site. They'll come and see the rice growing from our site. Then from that time now, afterwards, the consecutive seasons, the farmers pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is through those trainings before they come into production, any season, before any production, we have the agronomic practices training with them, how to take care of that crop, how to feed that crop, how to protect that crop, the field hygiene, all that is in crop protection. So that is how we come in to help when it comes to crop protection. Another challenge when we talk of crop nutrition, we also need to tell them exactly when to apply what, how to feed what, because we have one of the main crop nutrition experts around. That is, so we also come hand in hand, because even if you're sick, if you're treated, you need to eat. So for that rice, as much as we are doing crop protection, it needs to feed for it to produce.
They organize and conduct capacity building meetings and trainings aimed at educating farmers with knowledge and practical skills of better farming and rice agribusiness. So, what's our experience with Pirata rice herbicide?
Actually, it has been a relief. Initially, like I said, I've been here since 2019. We have been using several lands. But the moment we use this, of course, we have to use it in our research field to prove to the farmers that come, this one is here. And of course, with the help of Kenagro, the agronomist who has always been on ground, we had to use it. And I realized one thing that maybe our farmers at times mess up is the timing of application and the quantity of application.
The dose rate,
Yes, because once you mess up with the dose and the timing, then
the effectiveness is definitely going to be affected.
Very low. So with Pirata, once you do it timely application and I use the right dosage, you're good to go. So up to now, I've been advising farmers that one of the best herbicides they can use is Pirata from Kenagro, because we have used it, we have proved it's working.
After applying Pirata for rice weeds management, what are the major fungal infections and diseases affecting rice?
Mainly we talk of rice blast. Yes.
And rice blast comes as a result of what?
Okay, one of the main issues with rice blast is field hygiene, that is field sanitation. You find when farmers come into production, maybe they haven't cleaned up their barns, and as an agronomist, as a crop protectionist also, that is where insects stay. That is where, like, it's a path, or rather a home for pathogens, the disease-causing organisms, the insects and other pathogens. So once the field is not clean, that is where the problem comes in. But as we say, that is why we have Kenagro here anyway. So from that we only need to advise farmers, because we'll tell them keep your farm clean for you to have a bumper harvest. That's what you always tell them. But in the event that it has come that now you have the fungal infections there, we'll always talk about Tabibu. Yes, from Kenagro. And this is again during those trainings. And we are happy that the Kenagro agronomist is always on ground, because we can always refer them.
Bunyala has a rice cropping program. 14 days after Pirata herbicide application, Tabibu fungicide is applied. Tabibu is both a preventive and curative control of rice diseases, mainly rice blast and rust.
But in this case, we advise farmers to ask it from us, the experts, because there are those fungicides and rather pesticides that don't mix. But if for Kenagro, we are happy that Tabibu and the insecticide can still go hand in hand. So that is when fungal protection comes in. So we come in with Tabibu and treat it. But as much as we are saying that, we tell farmers, keep your farm clean, like on the edge of the barn, it's supposed to be as clean as possible, so that in case of anything you are preventing, so that nothing can come in.
After weeds and diseases management in rice, it is important to manage pests.
One is the white flies and the aphids. You understand?
Yes.
And for insects in rice, unlike other crops, in vegetables, they'll suck, they'll show an immediate either issue, but in rice, mainly these insect pests act as vectors. Yes,
Of
vectors
diseases.
for transmitting diseases.
Yeah.
That is the main thing. So what is always advised is just spray an insecticide for preventive issues, because once you kill the insect or once you do away with the insect, you have done away with the vector, and which is the vector that would have transmitted a disease is now not available. Yeah. So you find most is white flies and the aphids, yeah, and those are the ones that are the carriers of diseases.
Okay.
Yes.
So how has Aragon come in to help farmers control these pests?
Perfect. One, we mainly advise our farmers that you don't wait for a problem to crop up and then you come and start solving, because with rice it's a very tricky crop. You might be seeing a problem in one end, so you starting to correct it from here, but on the other end the crop is already dying. So what happens? You have this routine application.
Aragon insecticide first application is usually done 3 weeks after transplanting. The second application is later done just before the booting stage. But regular scouting is very important.
In the event that you scout there is a problem, that is now one where I come in as an agronomist and I'll advise this one, do this and this. So you might find in the process of production, you have applied the 2 routine applications, but when there is an issue, we also advise, that is from our end as agronomists, we will advise on what to do. So that is when you can find a farmer comes in with another application of Aragon mixed with Tabibu.
The stages of rice growth are broadly classified into 2: vegetative stage and reproductive. The first stage is germination and emergence of seedlings in the nursery. The second stage is called tillering, where tillers or stools grow as secondary shoots to the main shoot. The third stage is paniconization or formation after transplanting, which leads to production of a green ring or band. Then comes the fourth stage and the most popular, known as booting. This is simply a developed panicle. Stage 5 is heading. This is an outgrown panicle. The panicle is usually visible outside of the stem. The 6th stage is flowering and grain filling. Flowering happens 5 days after heading, and 10 days later, the milky stage occurs. Finally, the last stage is maturity. The milky substance changes texture to one similar to a bread dough, later becoming firm and hardening or grain ripening. In Bunyala, transplanting is done in 2 ways.
We have the conventional way of transplanting, and we have the system of rice intensification technique. It's called SRI technique. That one, so those are 2. So in conventional, you find farmers transplant rice after 21 days, 25 days. But in SRI technique, what we are telling our farmers here, they'll transplant the rice seedlings at the age of between 12 and 14 days. Yes.
And after maturity,
you harvest your rice, go dry it, can shell it. Yeah, but for us here, most of our farmers are selling rice as paddy. Yeah, and a few of them are also milling around.
Okay.
So, yes.
So, final question. When it comes to helping the farmer through, and you have helped manage the challenges, are there times where you experience that you did the right thing, but there's something else that happened in between?
It happens. It will never go well throughout, because challenges are there to make us grow. Challenges are there to make us learn, and we have always taken that as an experience rather, not even as a challenge. So it happens, maybe you come, you've walked along with the farmer, all those the gap practices he has done or she has done, but at the end of it all, maybe you feel like this yield is not what I'm supposed to get. So of course you go back to the drawing table and start assessing.
Bunyala conducts soil tests periodically after a year in their Aero lab to analyze progress and detect possible yield productivity triggering factors. They also do an analysis of crop protection practices using a farmer's case study to help understand causes of challenges that happen in a farming season, mainly originating from product application and agronomic practices in the fields.
So those are the things we go back and check. Where did we go wrong? So that you correct from that end, because we'll always have a next time. And when the next season comes, you do it right. And we have always told our farmers, however much you fail this season, there is always next time. So we'll always encourage them. Even if you've gotten the few bags that you get, next time we go correct our mistakes, we go correct where we went wrong, and boom, we get what we expect.
Yeah, I can see some white, are those scarecrows? What are those?
Yeah, the white stuff you're seeing there, most probably the nursery was around that region. When you're setting up the nursery, actually we have two ways of setting up the nursery. Let me talk about this one first. So the nursery was around there, and we have these birds that come and eat the seed in the nursery. So at times they use such flags as a scare to scare. Once the wind blows like this, and then the sound it removes, the birds are scared away. That is one way of raising nursery. Another second way of which we are introducing it in Bunyala Irrigation Scheme is raising seedlings in nurseries on trays. So it is a designated place. So a farmer brings the seed, we raise the seed for the farmer, take good care of it, protect it, feed it. Then once it's ready, the farmer comes and takes it from the shed net and brings it now to the field. How is that helping? One, the farmer has ample time to prepare his land, and he doesn't have to worry about, oh, my nursery has no water, oh, my nursery is over flooded, you know, such things. But once the nursery is secured, because the experts are taking care of the nursery, then the farmer just comes in to transplant. And in the event that we do the seedlings for them, we are also bringing in mechanization in the scheme. So currently we have a transplanter around. There is an investor who has come in with a transplanter, and we produce seedlings, then transplanting happens, and at the end of the day, an acre that would take 7 days to transplant is taking 3 hours.
It's a machine that transplants?
It's a machine.
Wow. And joining us is our own agronomist from this region. He's called Wycliffe Seunda. Karibu Wycliffe.
Asante.
Uko aje?
Salama salama.
Season inawapeleka vipi?
Tunajaribu tu. Jaribu. Lakini sio mbaya.
Wow, thank you so much, Wycliffe, for having us here. We have had such a great time here. And you're going to walk us through the products from Kenagro that rice farmers need to embrace. So, product ya kwanza ambayo wakulima watatumia ni gani?
Asante. After the farmer has done the transplanting of the rice, we normally advise them to, after 1 week or 2 weeks, when the weeds have started emerging up, that's the time we advise the farmer to use Pyrata, because these are selective herbicide. It will only clear the weeds and spare the rice. That's why it's called selective herbicide. And it will kill all the grasses and broadleaf weeds in a rice farm. The rate of application between is actually 200 mils in 20 liters of water. So like this 1 liter, it will comfortably cover 1 acre. Those are like 5 pumps of 20 liters. So as I said, it will clear all the weeds and spare the rice. So if you are using this one, it will give you until the farmer comes into to harvest the cane, because it will have a weed-free plot until maturity time. And we also have the benefits of using herbicides. One of the benefits that when we are using the herbicide, you reduce the cost of production by almost 30%. Because if you look at the manual weeding, a farmer can use 3,000 per acre, and he will weed 2 times. So you are using herbicide, you will cut down those costs of manual weeding. Another benefit is that when using the herbicide, it will kill all the weeds, and when those weeds degenerate, they form nitrogen that the crop will be able to gain from that nitrogen decomposition from the dried weeds. Another benefit is that when you are using the herbicide, it will clear all the weeds. Some of the weeds, they normally harbor pests that normally transmit vector diseases to rice. So on the insect control, we have a product called Aragon. Aragon is an insecticide from Kenagro that cuts across all the insects in rice, targeting both sucking and chewing insects in rice. So this one, the rate of application is only 10 ml in 20 liters. And you have to, if you are applying, you have to mix with the golden leaf. Golden leaf acts like a translaminar that will accelerate the absorption of this chemical towards the system of the crop.
So what pests are controlled by Aragon?
Aragon targets all pests, aphids, controls aphids, thrips. It also controls flies, and even we have fall armyworm and also hispid-based beetle in rice. Yeah. So if you are using this one, you will be covered because all those insects will be targeted by this Aragon because it has two molecules. The molecule number one, which is labosalotrin, will be able to control the caterpillars. Our next product is called Tabibu.
Tabibu fungicide controls rice blast and rust in rice as previously mentioned.
So this one, it will cut across all those diseases in rice. This one has a thiophenylmethyl and it has also hexaconazole. So the two active ingredients will be actually the best to the farmer when he's spraying his rice. At the rate of application, this one also at 10 ml in 20 liters. So if your farmer has 50 ml, will be able to comfortably cover a whole 1 acre of rice.
For crop nutrition, a rice farmer needs Brilliant foliar feed or fertilizer. Brilliant is a vegetative foliar sprayed at 14 days after transplanting and helps in root formation and development. Hence, the crop absorbs more nitrogen and nutrients from the soil.
Our next foliar feed fertilizer is called Carbozinc. This one is normally applied at the time of booting stage or at piping stage. So this one it has calcium that will give the grain filling of the rice. So the rate of application of this one is the same as Brilliant at 40 ml in 20 liters of water. But you have to apply when the rice has started booting at the booting stage or at piping stage. And you just have to apply once.
To get all the mentioned Kenagro rice crop protection products in Bunyala, Budalang'i, Busia County.
This particular one of our stockists who is stocking Kenagro products, maybe can talk more about the availability of Kenagro products in Bunyala.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Weka, as well put, trading as a KILIMO Agrovet in Bunyala. KILIMO Agrovet, you have 3 outlets. This is one of them. This is like the head office. Then we have another outlet in Mudembi. Mudembi is across the river on the way to Budalang'i. And then we have another shop in Muvwai. Muvwai is another shopping center just next to this one. I also take this opportunity to welcome all the farmers. I'm sure farmers most of them speak Kiswahili. Huwa nawakaribisha nyote mtembelee watu wale wako Bunyala, mtembelee duka ya KILIMO Agrovet, mtapata products za Kenagro. Kenagro wako na products nyingi na mnakaribishwa sana.
That is all about rice farming in Kenya from Bunyala Irrigation Scheme. But before we wind up, back to Nolan, our NIA agronomist at the farm, in a different feeder now with maturing rice.
Which one is this?
This one now is Komboka.
Komboka.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it matures faster.
Yeah, Komboka is an early maturity crop. We have the main varieties done in Bunyala Irrigation Scheme. Of course, we have several, but the main ones are IR 2793, and we have Komboka variety. So for Komboka variety is a semi-aromatic variety, and it's a good yielding variety. For IR is non-aromatic. Yes. So for Komboka, compared to IR, Komboka matures earlier than IR.
Okay. So these people shouting, they are going to be doing this the entire day?
They do this from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening for a period of 1 month. because it starts at the milking stage up to the harvesting stage, because from the milking stage that's when the buds now get into the crop, and so it goes for a whole month trying to scare buds away until you harvest.
And they are paid. They usually pay
Yeah,
for that.
it's actually it's a form of employment.
Wow.
Yes, they are
that's so
paid
good.
per day. You have to give them lunch. You have to give them breakfast, because if you don't give breakfast, then they'll come to work late.
True.
So it's also a way of
employment.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Nolan. These are the birds you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the birds. But because now here we have people who are scaring birds away, you won't see a lot. But in a place where the scaring of birds is not doing so well, you will find layer birds, yes, feasting. And at the end of it all, once that's happened, definitely it affects the yield.
Sure.
Because the yield goes down, because now you have to share your yield between the farmer and the birds.
And where do they come from? The birds?
No, the environment, it's an ecosystem. Human beings have to survive, insects have to survive, the birds have to survive. And like it said, birds have no houses, birds have no kitchen to cook, so they eat from us, so they exist.
Okay, thank you so much for the information. It's been quite very educative, honestly. I feel like I'll be a rice farmer after this, not just eating. And I hope, viewer, you've also been informed about rice farming. And if you have any questions, definitely you can always comment on this video, and we're going to respond to you. So maybe you can say bye to our viewers, Nolan.
Bye-bye and pleasure. We are happy to learn.
Thank you so much for watching our rice farming video. It has been a pleasure to host you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Dawa bora za kuangamiza wadudu kwa mimea, kuzuia na kuponya magonjwa. Mbolea bora za kuinua, kuongeza mazao. Dawa salama kwa mazingira, chagua Kenagro. Kenagro, 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 tunashirikiana na wakulima. Kenagro, Kenagro, tunashirikiana na wakulima. Kenagro, partnering with farmers.